You can build real wealth without building a business, without the employees, without the stress, and without all the risk. Here's how. So everyone keeps telling you that building a business is the only way to become financially free in today's society. But building a business is very hard, and most businesses fail. It requires a lot of money, a lot of time and energy. And what if you have tried to build a business and failed? Or what if you are still trying but are uncertain that you're going to succeed? That is the reason why I don't think building a business can be the only strategy. It's not like a one size fits all. You have to have an alternative, another way. So how would it make you feel if I told you that there actually is another way? So what is the other way? I view it like a game, a very simple game with just one rule. And it's the one rule to rule them all. And it's to know the difference between assets and liabilities, and then focus all your attention on collecting assets. But it starts with one simple and critical definition. What is an asset? A very simple definition of an asset is something that gives you money, while a liability is something that takes money away from you. So pause right now and think about one thing you can own that gives you money. A simple example is a stock. A stock is the ownership of part of a company, and a company can generate cash flow. It can choose to pay some of the cash flow to its owners. And if you own a stock, you own part of the company, and you can receive some of that cash flow in the form of a dividend. And that makes a stock an asset. Another example could be a house. Each month you have expenses for the house. You have taxes, you have insurance, you have maintenance and repairs, and you have to keep buying appliances. And the greater the house, the bigger the expenses are. So in that case, the house is actually something that takes money away from you, and it would be a liability. But it can become an asset the moment where you choose to sell it. But all the time you're living in it, it is by definition a liability. Another example is a business, and it can actually both be a liability and an asset. If you spend all your time on the business and it sucks up all your money and energy, then it can be seen as a liability. But if the business runs well without your constant involvement and it's profitable, then it's an asset. Another example is real estate that you own and rent out to a renter that each month pays rent to live in it. Then it's an asset. Another asset could be Bitcoin or collectibles, but you have to think about income or cash flow more broadly when thinking about these assets. It's more like if you have a bush or a tree that grows and you cut off some of its branches, or a fruit tree that makes fruits that you pick and live off. It's the same thing with these assets, that when they appreciate, you can sell off some of the asset and then you can live off that income. But one of the things that are very important to understand about assets is that they can generate income for you without you working. So they are like small money-making machines that can work for you and earn you money. They can earn money while you sleep or while you are sick. And the best thing is that they can work more efficiently than you and harder than you, because there is a cap on how hard you can work and how efficient you can work and how long you can work, because your energy and your time is constrained, but the income from your assets are not. And when thinking about that, you start to decouple work from income. So many people focus all their attention on the income. They focus on how to earn more money by working more hours, by working more efficiently, working harder. They think about how to get a promotion, how to get a new job with a higher pay. And it breeds all this hustle culture where you should always be hustling and always be grinding like a hamster in a wheel. Other people are spending a lot of energy on their expenses, and I actually think it can be very efficient to focus on expenses, but there also is a limit to how low you can get your expenses. So it's not only how much you can earn or how much you can keep, it's also what you do with what you keep. And from my point of view, if you want to become wealthy, you have to spend that difference on collecting assets, while most people who struggle financially, they focus their energy on collecting liabilities instead, that they think are assets, like a fancy car or a nice house or a watch or furniture or other consumables. But the wealthy people, they focus on collecting assets that generate income, and their income will pay for their expenses instead of their own income. So they buy assets that generate income that pays for their expenses. And wealthy people often buy assets first and then use the income from the assets to buy the luxuries, while most people buy luxuries first. And one definition of being financial free is the point of time when the income from your assets exceeds the expenses you have. So when your assets can pay for all your expenses, you are practically financial free and you don't have to work anymore to earn an income. You can just live off your assets. The nice thing about collecting assets is that it's open for everyone. It doesn't require that you have a degree or you have a lot of time to spend each week, or a lot of energy or a lot of money even to get started. You just need to get started. But one of the requirements are calendar time. It's not something that happens overnight, it's something that happens year over year. So you have to have some patience and some persistence when you build your collection. And the reason I use the phrase collecting asset is that I think about it more broadly than just buying. In my view, there are a lot of ways to acquire assets, and that can be comforting if you don't have a lot of resources, because you can actually get assets or you can build them yourself, like a YouTube video. You can buy the asset or you can trade one asset for another asset, and in that way you can build your collection. Some accessible assets to get started are like a global ETF, and that is like a bucket of a sample of a lot of different companies from all over the world. And when you buy that ETF, you get exposure to the performance of the global stock market. Another way is to buy Bitcoin through a brokerage. Both are very easy ways to get started, and don't worry if they are not a good fit for you, then you can choose something else. But just get started, and if you change your mind later on, you can just trade the assets for other assets. The most important thing is just to get started, start small, because it takes some time to learn about a new asset, and even a small allocation will start up your curiosity, and it will start your thinking about the asset and learning about the asset. And you have to build up your emotions as well, and you have to learn how to handle when it falls, or it rises in price. Both things can have an emotional impact on you, and you have to learn to deal with that. You can just pick one and then collect some more the next month and build your position even more the next month, and then you get the snowball rolling. It's a good idea to keep track of your assets and your liabilities, and if you have your assets and liabilities, you can calculate your net worth and see if you can build a positive net worth where you have more assets than you have liability. I actually want to end this episode with a small little challenge for you guys out there. So this challenge is about finding one asset that you can collect this month. Just a small amount, $10, $50. Just get started and buy your asset, and it can become the beginning of your collection. Tell me in the comments below what you chose. I clearly remember the moment where I figured out the connection between working and income, and that if you can collect an asset that generates an income, that is income that you don't have to earn. So in that way, by buying an asset, I can buy myself a piece of freedom. And that was just such a liberating thought. And if you find yourself in a dark spot where there's not a lot of hope, just remember that sometimes it's the progress that matters. So it's not where you are, but it's also where you are going. If each month you build your position a little stronger, each month you gain a little more freedom and a little more financial strength. So if you have watched the whole video and you got some value out of it, I hope that you would like, subscribe, share, or comment below. Just ask any question if you want me to elaborate on something, or if you have a topic that you want me to cover in another video. Thank you.